Hello, Miss Crespi. Thank you so much for being here for my project. So today I'll just ask you a few questions around sustainability because I want to understand and get a perspective on how you view sustainability. So firstly, would you like to introduce yourself briefly, just give a small introduction of yourself?
Hello, Hannes. Thank you for the opportunity. In the economics department, they call me Margi. Mrs. Crespi for you in our class of IB Economics. In the past, I've been working in finance, like a couple of years of my career. And then I had the opportunity to join UWC as an economics teacher. And as part of the core values of UWC, we not only focus on sustainable practice, but also on responsible growth within economics.
That's great. So my first question is, do you have any background in sustainability, or have you been involved in any sustainable practices? And these could be very small actions that you may do at home as well.
Yes, so I would say I relate to sustainability with a small but conscious ways. So as I mentioned before, I really enjoy fashion, but I try to move away from the fast fashion industry. So I would buy fewer items and focus on timeless, good quality pieces. So sometimes when I travel, I would visit like vintage shops like in Tokyo or Omotesando area. And when I no longer wear some pieces of clothes, I would donate it or bring it to recycling points, like the ones at And Other Stories. At home, we use like refillable glasses bottles for cleaning products, and we try to reduce food waste as well through planning the meals and avoid single use of plastic, like plastic bags or so. I also used to walk home, or most of places I would take the MRT, and I think these are simple habits, but these feel intentional.
That's great. There's a lot that you do, and that's great to know that you do a lot to help the world. And obviously in class, like we learned some like regulation policies around sustainability. What do you think are the most effective economic policies or strategies to promote sustainability?
So I think the most effective strategies are those that can change both behavior and mindset. So for example, carbon pricing, like Sweden's, give firms a financial reason to lower the emissions, while the green subsidies can support innovation in clean energy and transport. But beyond that, education is key. Policies that support sustainable business models like circular production or ethical sourcing really create long-term change. I also think we need better global coordination because sustainability doesn't stop at borders.
Yeah, and I agree with that. And I think that a large part of making a firm or a country more sustainable isn't just the policies, it's the intention and actually wanting to, and that comes from the education. So obviously we learn some of this in class. So do you think it helps students become more aware of sustainability when we learn it in class?
Definitely. We have units, and as part of the syllabus, we teach market failure or externalities, and we are not only talking about the theory, we are helping like you guys to see how economic choices affect people and the planet as well. So units like development economics also make students reflect on equity, the climate vulnerability, and responsible growth. Also, I've seen many of you start asking better questions about your own consumption habits, which I think is a big part of awareness.
And just like another question, like sometimes obviously students who want to perform well in class, do you think that sometimes because of that they might forget the actual purpose of understanding and learning about sustainability? Do you think sometimes they can want to get good grades over actually properly understanding what sustainability is?
Do you mean prioritizing your grades, like thinking of predicting grades over the impact that you can have outside the class?
Yeah.
Yes, I do think that sometimes it could happen that because the IB is such a big and complex journey for you that you think it as a marathon, and you
Yeah.
really need to tackle so many milestones
Yeah.
that sometimes it could happen that
Yeah.
you forget the purpose of studying market failure or the impact that you can have outside the class.
So I also know that you recently joined the school. Do you know any, potentially maybe the school, how they try to remind students of the importance?
Well, so I joined UWC 2 years ago
Okay.
in East Campus, and there are so many initiatives around composting, plants. We have two big areas of composting and planting, both in East and Dover campus. And we also use like the green walls to regulate the temperatures of the building, and so on. I think this is taught throughout grade 8 up until, or even before, up until grade 12, because this also involves some GCs and services to create that consciousness and awareness.
Yeah, so it's very clear that UWC has done a lot in terms of sustainability. But now asking in terms of more global markets, do you think in general markets create a balance between economic gain and long-term stability, especially in a world that's increasingly driven by the pursuit of profit?
Yes, not perfectly, but I've seen promising examples. For instance, the rise of B Corps in Singapore, and more companies like compromising with ESG values. That shows that profit is not the only objective. I would say, for example, big brands like Patagonia have done a big investment into transparency policies, promoting recycling activities among consumers. And of course, we will still need a stronger regulation and accountability, but the consumer demand is also shifting. So that pressure is powerful. Markets alone cannot solve everything, but they can adapt, especially when there is both ethical leadership and a smart policy in hand.
Yeah. And with an increasingly growing world, like an increasing growing economy, do you think in the future some of these firms will take that into consideration, like the ethics, or do you think it will start to shift towards just more profit driven?
I think this is a broad question, and it would depend on the industry.
Okay.
So if we talk about fast fashion, for example, they have started implementing some initiatives, like implementing and facilitating those recycling points, to spread that awareness and consciousness among consumers. If we talk about the car industry, maybe that's another world, and they would maximize or prioritize profit as compared to spreading that awareness and ethical values.
Yes, and I think that also relates to what you were saying earlier about how it's not just about the policies, but it's about the intention and the purpose of it. So I think that all ties in together to ensuring a more sustainable world and firms. Thank you so much for your time to answer my questions. Is there anything else that you'd like to say?
I think it's really interesting that you're doing that initiative. I think it would be useful also to involve some students and see their point of view on how UWC is doing, how we are spreading that consciousness and awareness, not only within class, but also through services, GCs, partnerships, and so on. I think it would be great to see their perspective on that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you.